Hello, and welcome to the Swatches live stream. I'm Clint, and this is Diana. We are artists, instructors, and art directors with Swatches, and in this episode, we are going to be taking a look at the finals that you have sent in for the art challenge. This particular art challenge was the Gothic characters and monsters. So we've already looked at their sketches 2 weeks ago and reviewed them, gave them some feedback, and now we're going to be taking a look at the finals. We will be going over announcements for a couple of minutes and also checking the live stream setup, make sure we don't have any problems. If you guys see anything wrong on your side, please let us know. We'll keep an eye on the chat. But otherwise, we'll just do a little housekeeping here, let everybody have a minute to join in live, and then we'll start looking at the art pieces. Okay, first up, if you want to get in on an art challenge, we've got another one starting next week. So 1 week from today, Thursday.
This is for the people who were disappointed during the vote. This was the second most popular option after the one that was chosen for this challenge. So we thought that we would just do that one for the next challenge so those people would have a chance to do the challenge that they wanted to do.
So if you're not up for doing characters, this is a really good option. Fantastical RPG prompts. We will give everyone the prompt, a couple of reference images to give you the idea of what we're looking for. And you can get the tickets next week on the Swatches site. They'll probably be $20, $25, whatever they're normally set at. Also, next Thursday, we'll be doing the portfolio reviews. We've got enough of them on the Discord to do another live stream. So we'll do that next week if you want to join in and see us do some portfolio reviews, maybe some paint overs, depends what we're looking at. And if you want to study with us, we always have a collection of self-study courses available from both beginner, intermediate, and advanced level artists. Stuff for everyone there. And we're very excited to have the form rendering class coming out next month, probably first half of April. This one is really geared around just making your subjects feel volumetric and realistic, would be the right way to say it.
Yeah.
Deals a lot with shading, thinking three-dimensionally, and learning how to paint without being bogged down by details and not being as dependent on one-to-one references for your art pieces. Additionally, getting some really great results and reviews for the new character illustration class. You can see some of the participant pieces, people that just finished the course up here. So this is all standalone characters, such a thing that you normally see in Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, and it's geared for only that. Human standalone characters. Great results from that class. Again, you can find that on the website, Swatches Academy, if you want to check that out. Also, if you guys have questions throughout the stream, just put it in there. We'll try to keep an eye on the chat, answer that. Especially if we are reviewing your piece, let us know that you're here live in the chat so that we can have some back and forth with you. We don't know everyone's YouTube handle, so we don't necessarily recognize it if you're in the chat. You got to let us know.
Oh, just a heads up, there is a thunderstorm right now outside, so if the stream suddenly goes down, you'll know why. We may lose power, I don't know. There's a lot of wind outside. So if that happens, just stay with the stream. We'll try to reconnect. And if not, we will post a message on the Discord just explaining or rescheduling.
Yeah. Okay. Just taking a look at the chat. Brody says, oh, he's been doing the character illustration course. Been loving it. Hey, thanks, Brody. Glad to have you mentioned that. Glad you're enjoying the course. And Abraham. Oh, yeah, I put your piece on the thumbnail. I hoped you wouldn't mind. It was such a nice piece. So, shout out to Abraham. He just finished the character class and did really well in that. So I'm We always love to see when students immediately apply what they learned to something right after the course, which is what he's doing with this challenge.
Oh, just a reminder to anyone who didn't hear the first part or is just not aware, we're not doing live feedback in the spring term. We're taking off the term so that we can make new classes and put them on the site for you. So anyone that was looking to get feedback from us this coming term, it won't be available, I'm sorry. But we are planning on coming back to do live classes in the summer. So if you want that, you can wait till the summer, or you can always get a self-study now and get started and do the course.
Yep.
And if you want to add on feedback later in the summer term, you can do that and just send us an email.
Yeah, we will prorate the cost of the self-study off of the live if you want to sort of go for the premium option later. Where was the link for the Discord? You can just go to swatchesdiscord.com, and that will get you right to the correct Discord, swatchesdiscord.com. Yep. Okay, well, let's jump over and start looking at some art pieces before we bore everyone too much.
Oh, so Augustine is taking the material rendering course. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, good choice. Pretty much any direction you go, better material rendering is going to be good for you, no matter the subject, concept art, or illustration. It's a good one. Okay, we're just going to go in the order that they're here on my screen. Just keep things simple. And yeah, that's Abraham's piece. That'll be the thumbnail there.
Yeah, nice materials in that.
Yes. Okay, let's pull these up. So, Abraham, really high-level results here. Very finished. I'm going to do some zoom up here so everyone can get a proper view of the work here. We don't have a lot of notes of things to change here because there aren't really mistakes. You're at a level where you're not making fundamental errors. And it's at this point that we start talking maybe just a little bit about the design or how to just squeeze a little more out of it. I like your rendition of these, some really nice materials. A call out on one of the things that I particularly like, and everyone can take note of this, which is when you're doing a variety of leathers, is varying up the tones of the leathers. It's not all one brown shade. So this one is towards the green side. This one is lighter in orange. This one's sort of a medium. This one is kind of the medium, but it's even darker and cooler, running into these really wonderful blue tones through here. And this allows you to have a wider color range within what people would normally have as being a very limited sort of running together thing. Otherwise, all of these will be about the same values, same saturation, and it'll just feel flat. So that's a really nice way of doing it. Yeah. Face rendering, really holding up well, working it very volumetrically. I see you just applying everything that we went over in the class. So, yeah, good work.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
Got a little compass down here, a little visual storytelling with that. I like the wear, makes it feel like he's been outside. He's dirtied up his boots and stuff. The Wendigo has a nice combination of kind of horror, creature, human hybrid. And the color tones that you chose work well against each other, where if you'd gone too red, it would be too much. But by keeping the red at this saturation of 50%, which if you guys open up the color picker, 50% saturation is just along this middle axis. So by keeping everything about there, then they harmonize together really well. Okay. My only notes, first up, is over here. For that kind of belt, I think they normally wear it a little higher. So to me, it feels like the belt is sitting a little low, and I would suggest just shifting it up a bit. And it also makes him feel a little more broad-shouldered because you're making a tighter V from a higher spot. So that would be a small edit to that. I'm not going to critique the painting itself. It's all very competently done. Over here, this starts getting into a little more artistic choice and design, which is right now, all of the fur is kind of the same length. Almost all of these tufts, all of these tufts are about the exact same size, same pool, right, everywhere. And I'm not saying that that couldn't be the case, but we may want to vary it up with some areas being a little longer, maybe a little more kind of matted. Maybe we have some more fringy ones that aren't so smooth and ripply.
So even.
Yeah. Yeah, just coming in here and having some fray ones that are just kind of breaking it up, or some of them that are kind of dirtied and they're just hanging down longer than the others. You have some tufts that are just kind of breaking that pattern, making it feel like he's been through the mud. Maybe some of these hanging off of different parts are a little longer. And I think it just goes to giving this sort of outdoorsy, dirty, bestial sort of look. That's a very small thing, but that's just what hit me as something that I would consider tweaking. Anything that's hitting you on these?
No, I think it's really good.
Yeah, I haven't looked at your I think I pulled it up originally when you joined the class, but these are definitely solid pieces to put in a portfolio. If you're thinking about it, I'd put them in there. Exactly the sort of thing a lot of clients would be looking for. Mm-hmm. So, excellent work. I'll just mark that we looked at it. Okay. We have Bass here. Okay, so we have your note here. As it happens, time to time, things get in the way and weren't able to have enough time to do both. So you made the right decision. Put all of your time into one of them. Do that to a higher level rather than trying to split your time kind of halfway between both. From this, what was your impression of this from the sketch?
Oh, I think this is a huge improvement. You really developed the idea more. You're more decisive about what is where and the shape of the creature. The face is improved. It looks very doll-like. The dolls are very discernible. I really like what you did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. The original sketch really did feel like a V1. Like there was an idea in there. And I also commend the willingness to hear the feedback and adapt that into the process. A lot of people won't do that, which is problematic for improvement. But you really did, and I think you did it quite well. I think more time, you could get more from this character. I feel like there isn't any major things that need to be done. I would say mainly in the rendering. I think just some more rendering, some more color. I've got a few notes what that might look like, but I think if you do anything with it, that's where it would be.
Yeah, I think if you painted it up to the point where the lines were gone,
yeah,
like fully rendered it, it would even elevate it even more.
Okay, a couple of things that I was noting. This feels like a character that would really respond to having a combination of lit and sort of silhouetted elements. What I mean by that is a professional artists will often have areas of a character that are being actively lit, and so you have good form lighting on all of those. But some areas that get further away, in this case it would be areas like the hand or this dagger down here, they actually let those fall into more silhouette, because those shapes read very well as silhouette, and it actually serves to draw the eye back to the focal area because they're more shadowed. And I think many people have noticed the same thing, that a lot of times people will put like the lower half of the body kind of going into a soft shadow. Again, it draws the eye back up. So I did that a little bit here, just as a real quick edit. It would be something along that lines if you just let this start kind of going into shadow towards the ends. And then next, I was noticing here, and it looks like you're running with just the half face mask. But right now the colors were too similar for me to notice that. So I would consider pushing into more flesh tones.
Just to separate it from the porcelain part.
So if you went like maybe they have a burned skin sort of thing that is sort of purplish or reddish or something like that. So you get that contrast of colors against each other. It can be a nice way to do it. If you are going to go with the sort of shadow towards the ends, then you may want to pull more lighting on this area to really develop more form lighting as a contrast to the sort of silhouetted elements. So that would be there. Looking for opportunities to maybe just shove a little more color into some of the doll pieces.
I mean, they are doll arms.
Yeah.
So.
At 50-50. And since her clothes were so tattered, throwing some mud stains, that sort of thing.
It always looks good.
Yeah. It allows you to just break up what is a monotonous tone of color across there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my notes
Zoom
there.
out and let's see before and after with the notes, just so we can get a better idea of the overall effect. Yeah, there we go.
That's the sort of direction. So yeah, I've tried, painting that up and making edits on that, and then once you're finished, then go ahead and do your other character. Obviously just for yourself, we won't be able to take a look at it, but it can make a really nice pair together because you made such nice progress on this one.
Well, we can see them in the Discord if you post them there.
Yeah, post them there. Oh, getting some lightning outside.
I know, it's flashing in here and it's a bit frightening.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder. It's very loud.
Next up, we have Ellie. Now, Ellie went with the Abyssal Phantom and Medium. That reminds me, guys, I did post the prompts out on the Discord. So you can go to Swatches Discord, go down to the Art Challenge section, and look for the Challenge Files room. It is a PDF. It's got all of 8 of the character pairs. And you can just download it if you want to do your own versions of these characters. And you can see what they were working from. Okay, so Ellie, really good progress here, especially in the medium.
Oh, yeah.
I think. So what's standing out to you?
So much more interesting than the previous version. You really took the critique to heart and you developed it. And this is what we're talking about when we talk about developing an idea. So it's you had the baseline idea, which was the sort of, the stereotype of the gypsy fortune teller, right? And we asked you for more Gothic, more personality, more design, and you brought back this version, and this is so much cooler than that first one. Yeah. Right? So you really developed it. It's got this Victorian flair. It's got its own unique personality. It's not just that baseline thing that everyone's seen before. It's kind of something new. And you added more textures to it, a better silhouette. Even the creature is also improved. You have a little bit more going on than what was just kind of a specter before.
Yeah, previously it was basically just a silhouette, here you've developed it, give it a little color, give it some translucency. And I don't think you need to go much more than that. It's a phantom. So I think a lot of it should be sort of hidden. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I commend the same things on this character. I feel like this is a sort of character that I could see in a game or even like some sort of film. Right? This type of lady, yeah. Could use some more rendering. I feel like it's blocked in, but a lot of this stuff hasn't been properly painted. A lot of this stuff doesn't have any kind of shading on it. And the face is... the expression and the look of the character is there, but I do think it needs some proper painting going in there, developing all the forms.
It's very cool, though. The base that you have is good. Very good.
So I put in a couple of edits previously. So let me just show you what some of those are. Okay. So my suggestions are, if you do anything with more time, as with most characters, is the face. The face is the critical point, so you want to make sure you do that. Next up, all of these pearls are the same value regardless of where they are, which sort of visually flattens the character. And we have a clear left light based on what we have here with the face.
For that, you might actually just want to make a pearl brush in Photoshop, and then you can just sweep them around with already with a little shadow pass on them.
Well, all of the pearls on the right side, just let them be a little darker than the pearls on the left, and it'll just help round the form over some.
Yeah, just keep them on a separate layer and lock the transparency to do that.
Now, I like the idea of the character wearing almost entirely black, but visually, we do have to separate out the tones a little bit, or they just get too muddy. So if we have different areas, like this has a nice subtle stripe pattern, good choice. That's nice. We got it over here too. All right. And look for a chance to change the value of or color of that. Maybe the sleeves, again, because it's black here, black there, but that could be a medium place. So this is just a hard light layer. And if we were to just try to lighten them up a little bit, maybe we key them slightly off of that purplish tint. Again, I'm saying a direction like this, not necessarily this, but something in that way.
Just try to separate your blacks a bit more. So let some of them be darker and some of them be more, in the gray tones.
Yeah. Even my initial one might have been a little strong. I think maybe something around there might be a little better. Okay, next, when you're doing the face, like I said, it just needs to be painted. Make sure that we don't get the eyes too bright. I saw that on a couple of the pieces submitted this time, is the eyes were just too light, especially for an older character like this. They're going to have so much kind of fold over from the skin and everything. I just want to point,
if you look at the camera here and you turn your head, what you'll notice is that the eye is on a diagonal, right? So it's pointing down. It's almost a downward facing plane. It's going to always be more shadowed than an upward facing plane, right? So the mistake that people typically make is they'll make the eyes as bright as like the forehead or even brighter, and you actually want to knock them down below that because they're under it.
So this would be a suggestion of something a little more natural, but even if somebody has light eyes, it's still going to be dark, right? Even if it's light. So you can still get some greenish color in there if that's what you were going for. I think you were getting kind of that in here.
Yeah, even blue or green eyes are a lot darker than you would think. Like we have a tendency to just go in there with a bright blue or bright green. But it's actually, to look realistic, you need to knock it down a little bit more.
So that would be the starting point with the face. Same thing needs to be carried out through the rest of the face, the hair, that. I think it'd be fine if the costume was left a little simpler rendering-wise than the face is.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, over on the Phantom, I do feel like we need a little something in the face.
Oh, is she supposed to be blind, the medium? Gosh, I don't know
Oh.
now that you mention it.
Okay. Well, you can glaze it over.
You might be right. I'm sorry. We do forget sometimes.
Yeah.
With all the prompts.
You can still glaze it over and make them lighter, but it can't be as light as the highlight. So it still needs to be something in that vicinity. Everything on the Phantom leads up to the head as being a focal point, but there's just no payoff. There's more payoff in the chest.
Yeah, we have these lines here that you have kind of starting from the arm pointing us, right, all the way up, and then we get here and there's nothing there to look at.
Now, if you do a skull, I think that makes sense, but maybe you modify it. You don't show the whole thing. You're just showing part of it there. Again, this direction, not necessarily that.
There's a lot of ways to do this.
Yeah. I do like the drippies that you have on some of this, and feel like you could push a little more of that. It just feels like some areas don't have it at all. And I would just make it consistent by adding a little of that around some of the
more
chest areas.
Is the feedback.
Okay. Really nice progress, Ellie. That's the notes we have for you.
Really charming work.
Yeah. Again, anyone, if you end up putting more edits on your characters, please post them on the Discord later so we can see how the character ended up. Erika, good finals here. Going with the Crimson Werewolf and the Silver Lamplighter. Okay, stayed pretty close from the original sketch. I don't feel like there was a lot of need to change much on them.
I feel like you developed your werewolf nicely.
Yeah.
From the sketch, it was hard to kind of know what the coloration or, how you were going to do the hair or the face. It was a little bit unclear, so it was a nice development here from that initial sketch.
Yeah. And over here, going for the lamplight. Note on this character, the lamp does not put out warm light. It is moonlight. Okay. And so therefore it is like a cool range, which is why he has this. Now, for improvement on these, particularly on the hunter character, we are getting some muddy tones where we're basically glazing a cool gray blue over skin tone, which just gets you this sort of muddy brown gray. So what you want to do in order to address that, I pulled off a reference image somebody else did of like a cool lit face, is that we want to begin with the face already towards the violet side, so that instead of being yellow based, which is what we have over here, it's more in the yellow range, that instead we're starting from more of a kind of violet range over there, because color wise it's easier to transition from this to a cool blue than it is to go from a
around the color wheel,
yellow orange to a cool. Yeah. So I would suggest changing your base with color balance and infusing more blues and stuff. I did an example here of that. So I would say starting with something like that. Now, obviously, all of the character would need to be consistently edited towards that color adjustment. And then with the face itself, the best thing to do here is to, if possible, avoid underlighting the nose. It was just, there's no way to make that flattering.
It's very, very challenging.
When you're looking up at the character.
If you have the choice,
yeah,
in any scenario, it's always better to do a side light and kind of, go halfway and not go underneath. Underneath is very typically unflattering or very spooky, but it's hard to pull off. So we tend to avoid it unless the client really wants it or needs it to be that way.
So instead what you're looking at is treat it more like a side light. I have a paint over of this, but I'm just trying to be really clear with this to show you kind of what I mean. So go from mainly that with the lighting.
So Erika, I think you're the same Erika that was in the form rendering class, I believe. Same person. If that was you, if you're the same person, then remember what we did in class with the planes of the face, right? And so you want to touch the planes with that moonlight that are on the left side, right? So remember, if need be, go back to the slides for the class and check out those face planes. You need to be thinking about that anytime you're lighting a face.
So it could be something in this direction. If you want to indicate like a little bit, just hitting kind of the lower nose, you can do that. But if possible, not try to underlight it. And this is going to allow you to really get more of the cool blue that you're trying to push for there. And the same sort of approach just being used throughout the rest of the character as well. With this character, I like the coloration changes between the chest kind of color of the more skin tone with the darker fur, but we do need stronger commitment to what the lighting is to really bring out more of the form of the character.
And that's, I think, what it's lacking right now is it's very flat and even, which is not necessarily wrong. It could be just a very soft ambient light or a diffused light, but in this case, he's doing kind of this forward pose, and we're losing some of the volume and the angle of the pose because it's so flat. So I would, again, consider taking a more form-based approach to it, prioritizing all the primary and secondary forms.
For that, if it helps to just begin with treating everything like a cylinder, then that's completely valid. Just start simplifying it down if you want to do it that way. It's like, how can I get volume out of this? How can I get volume out of this? The next thing is this guy's got a lot of fur, and fur just takes a while to paint. There's just no way around the fact that it takes a while to paint when the whole character is covered in fur. So, find yourself a good little hair tutorial, fur tutorial, if you haven't already found one, and just start working your way through it. Just develop each section of it. It'll really pay off. It looks great when time is taken to really develop each section, but there's just no quick way to do it.
Yeah, I feel like you had the right instincts of kind of being directional with it and putting it along the major forms. Like, I feel like you have an understanding of the placement of it. It just needed a little bit more time.
Yep. All right, good stuff, Erika. Appreciate you picking out the characters, send them in for us.
Yes, thank you everybody for participating, by the way. We wouldn't have a live stream if you didn't if you didn't create the artwork.
Okay, Nicholas is up next. Okay, Nicholas is doing the Ashen Lich and the Flamekeeper Chaplain. Time was a little short, so the Lich is not as developed. Put most of his time into the Chaplain, and that's fine. So most of the feedback will be on that. Haven't really looked at this guy too much. I like where he's going. I like where he's going.
He still looks a bit normal size to me. I would still make him maybe a bit taller. Perhaps it's the size of the head to the body.
Yeah, the head seems a little large to the body.
But he just looks like an average guy, and you kind of want to make him a little bit more than that. It's just a spooky thing here.
Yeah. Also consider, again, this isn't a mistake, but we have to be careful about having kind of a star pattern to the pose where from the torso every limb goes out, so you get this sort of thing. Just usually in a floating pose, it can be better to have that leg come out and just let it visually connect back to this one.
I would say, yeah, maybe just grab his whole lower and rotate it and join those a bit. That's, I think, what I would do.
You can grab that leg and move it, or
I would just grab this whole section here and do oh, hang on. I need to. Just maybe something like that.
Yeah, he was kind of leaning back a lot.
And then you might want to, you might also want to, oops, I'm trying to move this here. You might actually want to move this one a bit more, that way. Sorry for being so messy here. I'm not used to working on this computer, so I don't quite know how to move some of that stuff. So maybe something more like this, just trying to make him a little bit more aggressive and less leaning back.
Yeah, I agree. And
like that.
Same thing with the head. The tilt down to the lower shoulder is a little more of a weak position. So I would probably just put his head up, make him more powerful. He has a stronger presence that way. And then scale it down a little bit and make him feel
better.
A little taller. Yeah.
Something like that. Now, in regards to the other guy, I think he looks just super.
Yeah, on this guy, the overall approach is working for me. I'll move that over here. You can see a little better on the screen. And I think, let's see. Some of this is getting murky visually, where we have darker stuff inside of the metal. I feel like to get that sense of glow, we need to invert that. We need to make sure the stuff inside is probably lighter in value. Otherwise, it's just creates this kind of visual noise back here.
I wouldn't put so many artifacts inside, like the little bits. Just put the glowing color.
Okay, other notes. The face can use some more time. The general appearance of the character is fine. You mentioned you actually liked him being...
I like the bald head. It's not something we see a lot, and it makes him very recognizable and distinct. So I thought that was a good idea.
The big bushy eyebrows. But it is a bit rough. It's a bit muddy. And if some time could be taken, that's a good place to put it, just to refine the face some more. I did a little work on it. I'll show you in a second. And down here, some of the cloth is just looking really smooth. It's just completely straight. There's no folds or anything. Consider making the cloth just bigger so that it's got some extra folds and stuff. Like it's oversized so he can move around easily. So we can do that sort of stuff. And if you want to do it this way, which is if you want to have like smoke coming out, consider just committing more to a really dark smoke and putting that glow right in front of it.
Yeah, I just feel like this is too timid right now. It's like barely there. I would just let it really be there if you want to have that effect.
Yeah. So I messed with this. I don't know what's on what layer here. Oh, those were the legs. Okay. So if we treat that as being a little more in shadow, then we can get a stronger glow effect coming out of it and that heat from there. I didn't bother with the smoke, although you could put the smoke in there if you wanted to, and that's fine. And then just trying to give a little more clarity to the face, working in some skin tone areas where it's like warmer across the nose and cheeks, and also getting some of the lighting difference for the hair. A lot of times people forget that eyebrows get thinner as they go out. You don't want to paint them the same darkness all the way to the ends. And also doing some volumetric lighting again. So the area of the hair that's being lit, a little bit lighter, area more in the shadow gets darker. And that sort of pass to the rendering would be good. Yeah. Aside from that, I would consider just trying to clean up a little of the colors and the values in the middle area, because a lot of it is getting shaded to the same sort of brown level.
Be careful about putting different colors as the shadow value of a color, right? It tends to just make it look strange. So if you establish those pieces as red, just carry that through into your shadows. It'll just make it feel more consistent.
Yeah, it's fine to let these be red into the shadow, and if you don't want it real saturated, then you can come back and glaze it with some gray if you want to make it feel like it's kind of dirty or something. But don't just add the same brown, because then it's sort of the same brown in the fabric, right? You get it in here, you get it in here, you get it in here, you get it in here. And it just sort of muddies the whole area together. So you can do that. We could also push towards having like a little stronger. I like that kind of cooler tone you have on some of this stuff in this white fabric. And it's maybe even leaning into that a bit more so that we have more separation visually between it and some of the other colors. Right. So, that was just polishing stuff, but that would be a suggestion there. Okay.
Very well done. Also, great work on the weapon.
Yeah, good improvements there.
Mm-hmm.
Travis. Hey, Travis. Okay, good progress. Really like the edits, particularly on the Gravekeeper.
Oh yeah, huge improvement. Also want to commend you for taking our comments and not taking them badly, instead just applying them in a constructive way, and you came out now with a more cohesive pair of character and monster. So it looks more like they belong together. Really good edits on her. Yeah, good changes.
Okay, on this, suggestions for improvement here is starting with the cloak. I don't have any problem with the cloak. I think that's nice for the character, but we have this character being strongly lit by a green light, tinting everything very green. Even the warm skin is starting to become green. However, it doesn't feel like this cloak is affected in the same way. And color-wise, I would suggest a different tone, because the brown just doesn't have any connection to any other colors on the character.
It feels a bit odd, and there's nothing else that's that color on the character.
Yeah. If you want to make the inside of the cloak a different color, like it doesn't have to be black the same way it is on the outside. I mean, if you want it green, you can make it green. If you want it something else, you can make it something else. But right now, the brown is just at odds with the other colors. The next thing would be allowing some of the black to not be as black. And it's a tricky thing to do, but a lot of times when you're painting black, you have to make it considerably lighter than you think it ought to be. Otherwise, we get into this, which is it's hard to separate areas out and have good form to it. So if we pick the sort of lighter tone of it being lit, then let that be more even across more of it. And just let it go higher in value. It'll still read as black, But we can go more because she's top lit. So I can get these top facing planes and make them lighter, and you're still going to accept it as a viewer as being black. But we just need some more value so that everything isn't setting at this much lower value level. Now you can do that with some adjustments, so you can manually glaze over it or something. But I think that would help because we're running out of midtones. We're just kind of squeezing everything value-wise to the ends.
Really, narrow.
Yeah.
Narrow part of the value range.
On the Bone Colossus, I like some of the improvements with the end of this is looking pretty cool. I like that we have like a spine tongue and stuff. But there were some strengths I felt like we had from the sketch that we're not getting here, because a lot of this is just starting to kind of run together into just a texture. So I would consider not letting the fabric be as just consistent sort of everywhere across it. So we're just kind of getting fabric everywhere until it just becomes a pattern. So instead, maybe some areas are, maybe the green is more visible in some areas, and then the fabric is stronger in some area, then it's more bone some area. And we have a sort of transition from area to area rather than kind of an evenness of all three, bone, cloth, and green, kind of spread out. That's how I would take it. What was your thoughts there?
Another thing I just want you to have in mind, Travis, is that we are losing a bit of the form, right? So it is becoming a texture, but it's also, we're not really getting any form to this. It's flattening out quite a bit. One thing I would suggest is, again, if you have, is this on brush?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me just pick something here. Oh, not that. How about yellow? Okay. If we have different forms doing different things, like different cylinders, this one's coming forward, right? We need to light these differently. They're not the same planes at the same angle. And right now they're all the same. This one should, if we're lighting it from the top down, right, this one should be darker here, this one should be darker, and then this one should be darker on that side, right, and lighter on the top plane. And we should be doing this with I don't know exactly what the form here is, if it's a big cylinder kind of thing, or if it's a ball back here, I'm not sure. Only you know that for sure. But we need to render this consistently as well as like these arms, right? And right now there's no value separation along the forms. You kind of have underlighting on this one, but that's pretty much it, and and it's pretty flat across. So that's one thing that could elevate it in this part of the process, is the render part, is again thinking about this as a 3D volume, like how do I want to light it to bring it away from this kind of flat texture all over. Not that it's wrong, but just it needs another pass, basically.
Yep. You made some really good progress on it, on both of these, so yeah, I commend it. I think you're making good progress on them.
They are both cool.
Yeah.
And they feel like they fit together now, so you did a good job.
Lucy did the Gravekeeper and Bone Colossus, another version of the same prompt. Let's pull in here. Good blend of the two characters. We kind of talked about using elements of the two previous options and combining them. It's a very cool character. Yeah, I like that. Bone Colossus, reading quite well. And I like where you're going there. For this character, let's start over here. Overall rendering is quite nice.
I like the boots.
Yeah. Boots are a pain to do, but they look good. Got some nice materials in here. Lots of leather to do. Looking good. Suggestions are, right now he's very hip forward which is one of the things that I liked about the sketch, is that he had a lot of curvature to his body. But now that it's in there, it does feel like it's maybe a little too much because of the level of realism. If it was kept simpler as just a line drawing or something, you can get away with a little more. But anatomy-wise, I don't know. I feel like he's pulling a little forwards. So I would consider just letting the chest maybe be a little more the thing forwards and just let the hips shift back a bit.
It's a little bit too much crotch right now.
Okay, next, the eye patch seems really big. It like going under his cheek, down towards his mouth. So I think you can just make that smaller. I don't think the eye patch needs to be that big. And with this eye, this is another one where the eye seems very bright in there. So we can shade that down a little bit, and that's fine. You're not going to lose clarity of that. So it's like an example of what we could do, just getting that a little smaller, adding a little more of that shadow from the under part of the sphere of the eye. Yeah.
I think also at this angle of the head, the ear should maybe be breaking out of the silhouette a little bit more.
Shifting it back.
Yeah, because we're seeing quite a bit of the face and the nose is in.
Yeah, you could make the jaw come back just a little bit more, shift the ear back slightly, and then have the head breaking more there. That feels good. Okay, also tweak. This is just an example of kind of what the edit to the body looks like. He still has a nice amount of curvature to his body, but it's just not too much. Right. I feel like something in that realm. Okay, with this guy, I like the idea of the dirt and the mud. It's like he's climbed out of the grave and assembled himself or whatever. But it does feel a little too like it's just one big spot. So consider just trying to scatter it over more areas, particularly on areas that are sort of upward facing areas where something would get caught in these sort of upper parts, up in here, this sort of thing. I would go for more of that, and then these vertical areas, it's probably not going to be as easy to stick. Maybe just kind of in between those two bones, right? That would be somewhere we might have some. I would consider going that direction. You can also just let there be more coloration. I think you were mentioning it.
Yeah, in the bone, could use a little bit more of the warm tones.
Yeah, just consider that the bones maybe are more stained. They've been in the ground.
Maybe even get rose tones in there.
Yeah. And we're just trying to break it up because right now a lot of it's setting sort of in the same color and value range.
It's a bit in the yellow zone.
Yeah. So
we're just trying to add some variation to it that makes sense for it.
So something like that. You just going to have more variation, and you can pop it out. It doesn't have to be the same amount everywhere. Okay, the next thing is for a character like this where you have lots of arms and legs visible kind of through each other, then consider using the lit silhouette combination so that the back ones become basically just silhouettes. It's like this one back here. Don't worry about it having to fade out as much. Just let it be flatter in value. The whole thing just is kind of like this. Maybe it has 10% information for some lighting on it. And that's it. Same thing for this one back here. This leg back here could be dropping into silhouette more. Same thing for all the pelvic. And this is going to help the form of it read because it's clear that, the things in the back are the things silhouetted. The things in the front are more lit. And with the tunic cloth thing, now you can either go lighter, which we might find like a different color. Trying to find like a greenish, kind of goes with what you got. So you could do something like that, so it stands out that way, or you can just try to go darker, so that you've got value separation. But either way, you've got to have value separation between one and the other. Now, personally, I would probably go darker with the bone. That's not the one I was looking for. Just a little information showing up on the knee because it's kind of coming forwards. Go a little darker on the bone information, and then like these here, like these, we could also just let be silhouettes hanging down because they're back underneath, they're shaded. And then you can have that lighter kind of cloth tone sort of stand out against those. Now this is a little more of an advanced technique because most artists, including myself, naturally want to just go render everything. So it's like, if there's a leg back there, I need to render that. And there's a rib there, I need to render that. And there's an arm over here, I need to render that. But sometimes you just have to tell yourself, like, no, the things on the far side or underneath or whatever, those just get to be silhouetted. And hopefully that creates a dynamic that's nice. You know,
it's a little something extra. Yeah. But again, you didn't make a mistake,
no.
Lucy. This is just because you're at an advanced level, so we can try to show you what the next step up could be.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you for the good work on this. Nice piece. Kurt is up next, and he did the Lich and the Flamekeeper Chaplain. Really fun character designs here and nice level of finish. You are bringing chunky details, lots of form. Even the paper is chunky. The paper is like a half-inch thick. Really cool. Even this paper is like really chunky. So stylistic choice. I'm down for it. Nice character.
I think they're really good. Kurt, let us know if you're in the chat. I think you really hit a nice balance here with these colors, with the purples and the browns and the golds and the reds and the black. There's a lot of ways to mess this up. Mm-hmm. But you did a really good job. And this weapon design is very good.
Yeah.
Again, there's a lot of ways in which this could be done not successfully, but you did it really well. And shout out also for the painting technique. Good shine with the violet.
Yes.
Really good. Nice muddy gray there for the dirt. So that's looking nice. Skin tones remain constant across the character. That's nice.
Got some age spots on the hand there.
Yeah, really nicely rendered materials. And I like what you did with the creature too. It's just, it's very cool and eye-catching. Nice color pops as well. You didn't muddy any of your colors. You kept them really pure, which is nice to see. It's really
controlled
grabby.
Values, controlled colors for everything. No significant changes going to be suggested here.
Kurt is here in the chat.
Oh, hey, Kurt. Couple of suggestions. Up here on this guy, right now we have a balance where the underlighting, this part, is the same strength basically as the light inside. And it's usually best for one to be dominant and one to be a little more minor. In this case, I would let the inner light be the brighter one because it's just
magic.
Yeah, it's cooler. It's more saturated. So it would be toning down the brightness of some of this, although it should stay there. It's really good at revealing the form. And other notes. I feel like it would be worth adding some variation to this metal. That a lot of the metal is just kind of setting at the same value everywhere. So having some gradation where it goes from maybe darker here to kind of a little bit lighter as it goes down. Just some general gradient color value changes. And potentially popping more edge light. I feel like there's a really nice bright light developing the side of his face there. But we're not getting so much of it. Like we're not getting it here. It feels like there's very little there. So it ends up being just this thin little line most places. And I think you get more. So I put in some of these tweaks. It's like if the lighting's a little stronger. And I feel like that is good because it gives you a more form revealing. And that's one the other guy. So yeah, there's some tweaks on this one. Just toning down the lighting on the head a little bit. Still have the form. The green seems to be stronger now. And just trying to get a little more pop from some of these metals. A little more color and gradients to help move the eye around there. So together they're not a lot. I mean, it's not a big change. I'm trying to turn them off together so you can see. Okay. Over on this guy, the suggestions on this, offhand, the end of this is just kind of dropping down at a slightly different angle. So it would just be adjusting the angle on that. Yeah, we're just commending the overall design. We have an alignment thing, very small thing, which is this is all going up. However, the shoulders, that's the low shoulder over here. So we'll want to make sure that these are following the same angle as the shoulder. Not a big deal, easy thing to fix. So, in Photoshop you can just tweak it. So there you go, that would be a small thing, just gets everything in the same range. I didn't do this earlier, but another thing, it's just something I would consider doing. It's not a mistake, but I do feel like something could be gained by scaling this hat up. And letting it sit lower. This is a guy that's like really kind of protecting himself. And I feel like you can really get almost this sort of thing. It'd be nice if you didn't move my layer. There we go. And I don't know if that's the vibe you're going for, but he's so stylized and such big shapes and everything already that I feel like that might be a nice... yeah, I was wondering about putting some glow in there.
Yeah.
I thought about it at one point and I kind of forgot.
And that might not even be enough, but I just feel like it looks a little bit too paint-like or too thick and opaque. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, letting there be a little light kind of hitting that. It's like a glass of wine that's getting sort of brighter in there.
Could do the same thing kind of there.
Yeah.
Possibly.
And it would be
over there because it's kind of tilted.
And letting the tops of this get kind of a bluish tint. Wine has a tendency to do that. And I don't know why he's shooting wine out of this, but that's fine.
It works for me. That's fine. I think it's cool.
Yeah. There we So some small things, just some ideas. They really do work as is. If you want to put a little more tweaks on them, that's fine. But I think they also stand on their own right now, just as well.
Yeah, awesome job.
Okay, Garrett is up next. Blood Revenant and Scarlet Inquisitor. You did good keeping to your original sketches. The designs kept on track there. The rendering is actually quite clean, which I appreciate.
I feel like you developed it quite a bit beyond those sketches.
Yeah.
So I'm pleasantly surprised with what you were able to do.
So yeah, these are looking good. I do think you can get more out of them. So let's talk about a few things. If you want to put any more time into them, we never know whether you guys are sick of staring at your pieces or not. But take a look. So over here, let's start with the Revenant. A couple of things that you could do. First is it does feel like his eyes are too close together. And maybe it's because the mouth is extended, but you could grab this area. Start by scaling that up. And then letting this eye shift. Some more space between them. Like something in that range just helps you to proportion out the head a bit.
Even move them a little bit more that way and to the right. Yeah, that feels right.
What about the skin and the wig right now are sitting very close in values, so that we're starting to lose a lot of separation there. What's the best options for resolving that?
Well, there's only two things you can do.
Yeah.
Which is you either darken the skin and leave the wig where it is, or you leave the skin and you darken the wig. So one of them has to be darker and one of them has to be lighter. It doesn't mean that it has to be very dark. It just has to be darker than the other. They're sitting a little too close with their base tone right now. I don't know, if the hair is white, I would just make the skin a little bit darker. Because white hair it's pretty white, pretty light.
I know that he has light skin, but when you're having white eyes in white skin, it's hard for him to pop. So we can just treat it as if the skin is like blackened or some kind of necrotic around the eyes, and it allows those lighter eyes to pop more, and just basically keep it within just the eye orbit. And maybe like the end of the nose is getting kind of black. Again, that allows you to get further away from the character and still read the features and the expression really well.
I would still glaze kind of a jaundice tone over the whole face.
Let's try that. Let's just lower the opacity here. You're thinking like a yellowish?
Yeah. A yellow, like a sickly yellow. Yeah, there you go. See, you could still get the effect without it having to be white. And it just separates away from that hair a little bit more clearly.
And then with the hair, another thing that you can do is just push one to more of one side the other. Like maybe the hair is slightly to the blue side of the white. And doesn't need that much. And so again, it's a small thing, but it helps it to just visually be different than the other one. So we could have a little turning edge. We just allow it to kind of shade away from us a little bit. It's just because the face is so important, we really want to make sure this area reads. And then once it's looking good, that's when we start moving on to the rest of the character. But there is something to be said also for letting the hair probably get kind of dirty as it goes down. That, you know, it's probably been stained and stuff.
And that's fine. The gray will still keep it separate from that yellow face, right? So that's, you can shift it into different tones as long as they're not the same one.
Yep. Okay, other things. We do have the blood happening here, which I think is a good call. I would lean into it. You can just let it be really dark, and we can also have some kind of stain around his lips up there. And I'd add some coming down on here that this thing's been feeding on people.
He's pretty gross.
Yeah, he's a monster. You know?
You can let him be gross.
So we can just splatter some across some of the rest of this. Right, I'm obviously doing this just super fast to just kind of indicate the idea. This isn't necessarily how you would do it. Elsewhere, when we have a mix of bones and flesh, try to throw in a little color to help show the difference between what's bone and what's flesh. Now, if you want to go to a lot of times people go to sort of the purpley side because it's sort of dead, and so you lose a lot of the yellow color. But you're already going towards the green side here. So I would just push for more of that kind of green yellow, and maybe down in the fleshy areas we get kind of more of that. And we're just trying to find reasons, and we could even try to go a little more purpley, like towards the end of the fingers or something. I would look at some images of like different kind of undead creatures and see how they infuse color into them. You can go to the green side, yellow side. You can go to more of the violet, bluish tones. Depends the direction you want to run with it.
Darkening the fingers is also a classic trick you can do to make them look spooky.
Okay, yeah, that was the notes on that one. Over here, I wouldn't really change much with the guy's design. It's right now the face has a good look. I assume that you found a good reference because he does have a good look. He does look believable, but the skin tone's getting washed out. So we're getting really high key with the values that a lot of the face on both the lit and shadow side are getting washed out.
It looks like you're lighting him with two lights right now on either side, which basically means if you really want to do that, you're going to end up having a band of shadow right down the center of his face, which you're getting a little bit on the nose. I'm not saying you can't do that, but it is a very advanced lighting setup to pull off, to illustrate. And usually we recommend that unless you are advanced, it's better to just favor one side or the other for the lighting. And that way you only have to really worry about those planes on that side being very lit. So you might want to think about that. If you do want to light it from both sides, two separate lights, then you definitely need a good reference for that to show you the planes of the face and where those lights are going to hit exactly. Because one of the common things people do is they just sweep an airbrush over the side and, to light it. And it doesn't really create a believable result.
Yeah, I'm just trying to use a multiply layer to very quickly add in some skin tone. This would take a while. It is time consuming to glaze color into what is almost a black and white version of a face. So you definitely want to have some good color references and not be what I'm doing here, which is I'm just trying to eyeball the colors.
Just freestyling.
And then you probably need to go back over with a normal paint layer to make any real adjustments. Using like a multiply, an overlay or something will be good enough to get you started, but probably not sufficient to actually get you to the color that you need. And like what Diana was talking about is probably just want to shadow everything down more on the shadow side so it's more definitive, and that we're not having of split lighting. And then if you want, then you can come in with a cooler tone that's a much weaker to kind of help pull out some form on that other side if you feel like you need to develop some stuff over there.
Mm-hmm.
And here you can already see it starting to develop a little bit. Maybe a little color in the mouth. So anyway, that's the sort of direction that I would give you a lot of improvement. Quality, the overall quality of it would go up. And for the rest of it, consider just trying to double up or on the lighting that you're doing. Again, the lighting value of the lit side and the shadow side are so similar that it's reading flat. So it's okay. It's okay. Just, commit more to it. And it's okay if like this starts going up in value. A little warmer. We can go warmer. All of this can just be distinctly brighter than the other side because it's being more lit. And that's fine, because if you look how bright the face is, then that works. Oh, you can just create a swatch of like, this is the shadow tone of this, that's the light tone. This is going to be the light tone. This is going to be the average shadow tone. And you just do that for every part. And this is something that I'll do in my own piece, is I'll create little swatches so that I don't have to keep going and selecting and, what the right color is for the lit or shadowed part of each area. And then we'll just start building more volume and color into the piece. Anyway, that's like a whole tangent of art stuff, but...
Sorry if that was too much, but we just wanted to, mention it if you were wondering what you could do to push it further.
Yeah, good pair of characters. So, yeah, if you want to try it out on these, or maybe just keep it in mind for whatever future piece you do. All right, the last one we're going to be looking at is Augustine. I don't know. I haven't glanced at the chat, so I'm not sure if they're here or not.
I think so.
Okay, I remember the sketch here, particularly of the tracker character, Frostcoat Tracker, and the Wendigo. I really like how you've developed the characters. This Wendigo does feel more consistent with like the classic lore of the Wendigo.
It feels more Wendigo.
Yeah, kind of the skull of the animal skull with the antlers, somewhat human, monstery. And the tracker has lots of great details, different colors of leather, again, working well here, different tones, with just a couple of accent reds on it, working nicely. To get more out of this, the biggest thing that you'll want to do is commit to it either being very line based or being form, which is painting based. Right now it's hovering in the middle, and we're not really getting the best of either. Your drawing skills are really good. All right, your sketch was dynamic sketching, all right, but the rendering isn't matching the same as the drawing, and it feels like maybe you're not confident enough in your painting to let go of the lines. And that it can be okay that way, but what we end up with is what it kind of looks like a comic book.
Yeah, it's a big comic book, but maybe there are people who are trying for that. I mean, maybe you're trying for that style, in which case it's very successful. It looks very comic book. So I don't know. We don't know what the goal was. Like, if your goal was more realism or a more realistic render or not. I think nothing would really be lost if the flat colors were just flat, if
Yeah.
there was like no rendering at all. You know, like Matt Rhodes's Dune sketches don't lose anything for not being painted. So, you know, you might want to take that approach. I think it might even be stronger that way than it is this way. But if you do want to push it into the painting, then you have to kind of commit and paint out all the lines. And that might be hard because because your line work is so beautiful. And you obviously put a lot of effort into it.
Now, we've mentioned this other artist before, Brian Mathias. I could see you kind of going that direction if you wanted to do a pseudo painting that still had the lines in there. So check out Mathias, Matyas. The Wendigo feels like it's going the right direction. Does still feel like maybe it could use another iteration.
I still feel like these guys are not needed. I actually feel like it would be better without them. Because if these are human size, this thing has to be like gigantic, right? To make these men the same size as this man, it has to be pretty huge. Maybe you intended it to be. But I actually don't even think it needs these. I think it is cool without them. Just an opinion.
Yeah, this is where things get into artistic design choice, because there isn't a definitive this is right, this is wrong. It's not like proportions. Okay, you need more than this number of headlings for the body, right? It's not that sort of thing. So design wise, it does feel like it's not quite jiving yet, where we've got clearly this is all sort of consistent to itself. It's basically a human with a different head. Okay, that feels a little odd. But then we have this, that doesn't occur anywhere else. There's not full-size body parts integrated anywhere else. So there's a variety of things that are just kind of one-offs, like the animal skull. Okay, and then that. And then the fur is more of just in pockets. It's either 100% fur or no fur. So what we're looking for is if there's a way to blend between these a little more evenly. So like maybe we have fur in lesser patches that kind of comes down parts of this. Or maybe these aren't just human. Maybe they also have animal aspects to them.
That
so
could
that
be fun.
There's a continuity between these elements. And maybe instead of human hands, these also, they're like human arms, but they have animal claws or something. I'm just trying to find ways to connect some of these kind of disparate things.
Yeah, I feel like this idea needed more iteration, more time to cook. I think you were just pressured for time, so it's not bad, but it's like Clint said, it's not quite cohesive yet. It's better though. It's moving in the right direction, and this guy is very cool. So obviously you have really good skills. I mean, I don't know what we could say about that. The only thing I can offer you any input on is like if you wanted to achieve a full render, if you wanted to push your painting skills, that would push these guys to the next level and make them really cool. But you'd have to kind of commit to letting go of your line work and painting all that out with paint.
It's a very time-consuming thing to do, but that would be the result. A minor aspect here is it is very pink, which just kind of just strikes me odd because it makes it so human. It's such a human tone of pink. You actually don't get that on animals very much. So I'd suggest tweaking it so maybe it's a little more to the gray side. It's just a little duller, a little cooler. It also makes it feel like maybe it fits into the wild a little more.
Wintry.
Yeah. So it's a smaller thing, but
Well, let us know
we're just
what
talking
your
about the design
let
choices.
us know what your thoughts are in the chat.
Yeah, I like this guy. I think that's a cool dude. A really dynamic folds and pose and animal and everything. Very successful. Yep. Okay, that's everybody's review. If anybody has questions on general art topics or anything going on with swatches, we'll leave it live stream going for a couple of minutes if you guys want to put in some questions. In case anyone is running late and did not catch the very beginning, I'll just recap the announcements real quick as you guys think about any questions you might have. So if you missed it at the very beginning, there will be another challenge. It'll kick off next Thursday. It will be fantastical RPG props. Great for the people who don't like doing characters.
Also, I know some people were really sad to have missed out on this challenge, and I say it in every newsletter, and I say it every time we do a challenge. If you want to participate in a challenge, you have to buy a ticket the day it launches,
yes,
because they're usually not there anymore. After 24 hours, they sell out, usually within 12 hours. So if you want to participate, you have to kind of snag it right away. And don't wait till the next day. They're usually gone. And then people message me and they're disappointed, but I have no control over that. It's just whoever gets to them first. So if you want one, don't wait to pull the trigger. Just grab it while you can.
The tickets, there will be likely same thing as 12 of them, 12 or 15, and they will be on Swatches Academy. We will have a live stream next week. It will just be portfolio reviews, feedback, paint overs, and if you're interested in getting your portfolio reviewed, it's completely free. You can go to the Swatches Discord, which is just swatchesdiscord.com, and go for the video critique submission room and just post your portfolio in there. We just review them first come, first serve. Usually do about 6 of them at a time. And I think we have 6 in there now. So you'll either get into the tail of next week's or the following review session. There is a variety of self-study courses, including the newest one that's been completed, which is character illustration. So if you want to do characters similar to what this challenge had, which is standalone, full-length characters with no backgrounds, that's what we cover in that particular course.
Augustine is saying that he's planning on taking the character illustration course. Okay, the people who participated in this challenge, we're going to send you guys an email probably
that's right,
later today. And in it is going to be a special coupon just for you for 50% off. So that's $100 off, or $95 or something bucks off any course of your choice. So if you're planning on buying a course, Augustine, just wait until we send you the coupon so that you can get that discount. This is for the participants of the challenge. You'll be getting an email from us. We have all their emails, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we just want to thank you for, participating, putting your time in, and letting us review your stuff, publicly. And I want to just be able to help you continue your studies if you're interested in doing that. Okay, was there anything else?
Just read through. I'm having a hard time reading from this distance.
Kurt says, will there be another group mentorship? We currently are not planning another group mentorship. Even for the summer, we probably won't. I won't say that we never will, but we're not currently planning one. Okay, should I take form rendering course, says Augustine. Form rendering is a good choice. It really is. If you're wanting to learn how to do volumetric painting.
If you don't feel confident in your ability to render things in a 3D way, then for sure take it. But if you are experienced already or you feel confident, then maybe you don't need it.
The form rendering course is considered a fundamentals class on the site because it is a fundamental skill, not because it is an easy skill. So make sure you understand that if you're
Yeah.
interested in
People
it.
think, oh, I don't need it because it's easy stuff. It's foundational. It's a foundational class. And like, no, even for us to do those
Yeah.
homeworks and those demos, like it takes some time and some thinking. It's not that easy. When we say fundamental or foundational, we just mean it's a core skill, not that it's easy stuff.
But you should start with it before moving into something like character stuff, just because those all build on that skill. So make sure that you've got that before you make things even more complex. Yeah.
Augustine, I think you might get what you need out of the character illustration course. So,
Yeah, we do touch on a variety of the points.
so you might just want to try that. I feel like if your drawing is that advanced, you should be able to pick this stuff up a little bit more easily. But then after that, I mean, if you're still struggling with volumetric painting, it is something that you can take later on if you feel like you need it.
Mm-hmm. Y asks, when does the summer term start?
Oh, gosh.
We usually start early July for the summer terms. So I don't have any reason to believe it wouldn't be the same this year.
Yeah, probably.
It usually just depends on what our exact schedule is, when we're going to be completing.
But it'll go on sale probably the month before.
Yeah,
Or
it'll probably be in June.
yeah, May or June.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, any final questions, anybody? And then we'll wrap up for the day and let you get on with your life.
There's always a lot of stuff out going on the Discord. And if you're wanting to get community feedback on your work, there's a place for that. You can just ask for feedback. There's some really excellent artists out there who give freely of their time. They don't get anything out of it. It's not like they're sponsored by us or anything.
Even really excellent magic artists that are in there and just from time to time will give feedback, without any prompting from us. So if you're looking for that, you can find that in the Discord. Also, the 100 Club has been really popular this month.
Yes, it has.
I am going to put together another PSD file for those people in the 100 Club who want to do 100 more studies. So they did 100 figures. Quite a few people completed it, I think, the challenge. So we're going to do a different thing. I don't know if it's going to be portraits or what for the next 100 challenge. I recommend people getting in there and joining that. It's a very active channel.
Okay, well, I think that is all the questions. Thank you so much for spending time with us, and we hope that you enjoyed seeing the feedbacks. And if you joined in, then, thank you for taking time over the last 4 weeks working on the characters and letting us be a part of that little piece of the journey with you. And look forward to seeing you next week. Until then, guys, keep drawing.